Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at the wildly different Day 2 experiences of our 2026 World Cup host nations, the USA and Canada. We're going to compare their performances, because as you'll see, success on the world's biggest stage, it can look completely different depending on who is stepping onto the pitch. We're just 2 days into this tournament, and man, the narratives being written are already absolutely fascinating. So we've got two very distinct experiences side by side today. One nation threw a massive record-breaking celebration. The other, they secured a gritty, monumental milestone that they've literally been chasing for decades. Same day, same tournament, entirely different atmospheres. Section 1, USA, the record-breaking party. The U.S. men's national team opened their tournament in Los Angeles, setting the stage with Katy Perry performing at the opening ceremony. And then, they stepped out onto the grass and scored 4 spectacular goals against Paraguay. Our source material wittily suggests that these two things, a blockbuster pop star opening and an absolute offensive explosion, might just be directly related. I mean, it certainly set an electric pop concert vibe for the entire match. And hey, if we're talking about electric, the tone was set immediately by Christian Pulisic. He was described as unplayable, completely unplayable. You know, when your star player comes out with that level of intensity in front of a massive home crowd, the opposing team is in for a very, very long afternoon. The U.S. attack was just relentless. It started with a bit of fortune, Paraguay's Bobadilla accidentally putting it in his own net in just the 7th minute. That is certainly one way to start a World Cup, right? But they didn't stop there. The barrage ran right through Folarin Balogun's incredible heroics in the first half. And even after Paraguay pulled one back, Giovanni Reyna found the back of the net deep in stoppage time, minute 90+8, just to make absolutely sure the party didn't stop. I actually want to pause on Balogun for a second, because he specifically made history before we even reached the second half. He scored twice before halftime, sending the USA into the break with a commanding 3-0 lead. But here's the really fascinating stat. He became only the 4th player in as many World Cups to score a brace in a host nation's opening match. So he joined a very exclusive club of host nation players on day 1. So the crucial point here is that this 4-1 final score wasn't just a win. When you look at the dominance, the energy, and the execution, it's being hailed as potentially the absolute pinnacle of American World Cup performances. It's a real statement to the rest of the world that they aren't just hosting this tournament, they are here to dominate it. Section 2, Canada, a magical historic point. Okay, so we go from a blowout party in LA to a super tense battle in Toronto. And to really understand the stakes for Canada, it all comes down to a single glaring number, 0. That represents Canada's total points across 2 previous World Cup tournaments and 6 matches before this night. 0 points. That's the heavy historical baggage this team carried onto the pitch against Bosnia. And the contrast with the US begins before kickoff. Canada opened their festivities with Michael Bublé performing in Toronto. The results? A hard-fought 1-1 draw. And as our source playfully notes, unlike the US, these two things, a smooth jazz performance and a gritty draw, are probably not related, but it definitely highlights the completely different atmosphere surrounding this game. The tension on the pitch was simply unbearable. In the 21st minute, Bosnia scores first, on a header from a corner, and that massive Toronto crowd goes completely, eerily quiet. From there, it's just heartbreak after heartbreak for the home team. Canada hits the crossbar. They suffer through 2 agonizing goal line clearances. For over an hour, it felt like they had everything except the goal. It really felt like they might be cursed to leave empty-handed, staring at that 0 once again. But then, magic struck late in the game to completely change the course of Canadian soccer history. The 78th minute. The exact moment the 0 was finally erased, Ontario absolutely erupted. And the story of who scored the goal is straight out of a Hollywood script. Silanen came off the bench to score the equalizer. But what makes this so incredibly special is that he was born just 45 kilometers from that very stadium in Toronto. It's a literal fairy tale moment, right? A local kid born practically down the road, coming off the bench to secure his country's first ever World Cup point. It was, as our source describes it, a truly magical afternoon. Section 3. Comparing the North American neighbors, how the hosts stack up. When we compare our tale of 2 hosts, the contrast is incredible. For Team USA, they're energized by Katy Perry. They cruise to a 4-1 win, culminating in a record-breaking party. Then, for Team Canada, serenaded by Michael Bublé, battling to a 1-1 draw and securing a gritty, historic milestone. It proves that success in a tournament like this isn't some one-size-fits-all metric. It looks completely different depending on the historical context and the unique journey of the program. Section 4. Context. Meanwhile, on day 1. To give you the full picture, we gotta briefly review the day 1 madness. Mexico brought an intimidating presence, opening the entire tournament in the legendary Estadio Azteca with 80,000 roaring fans. Quanis netted the very first goal of the 2026 World Cup in the 9th minute. But what really defined that match was the unprecedented chaos. I mean, it became the only opening game in World Cup history with 3 red cards. Meanwhile, Korea pulled off a stunning 2-1 comeback victory against Czechia. The big takeaway here? This tournament is entirely unpredictable and the intensity is already off the charts. Section 5. The takeaway, what this means for you. So tying this all together, what should you take away from this explainer as you watch the rest of the 2026 World Cup? Well, the biggest lesson here is that success is relative. In the crucible of the World Cup, a hard-fought single point can carry the exact same emotional weight and mean just as much to a nation as a 4-goal blowout. Both the USA and Canada walked off the pitch having achieved something absolutely monumental for their respective programs. I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. As the tournament continues and the stakes get higher, a dominant blowout or a gritty, historic milestone, which of these 2 incredible performances actually gives a host nation the better fuel to go all the way? Keep that in mind as we watch the rest of the games unfold. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to break down the beautiful game.